Welcome to Fort Fritz, episode 26. I'm going to let you know a little bit of a warning. We're going to be talking about some stuff that might affect your mind, mental conditions thereof. Having said that, if you need to talk to someone, go to a psychiatrist. We are not licensed. We are not trained. And I'm doing the Trump hands right now. Thank you. This is episode 26 of Fort Fritz. Hello, I am your host, Fritz, joined as always by co-host Mandaddy.
Hi.
Kaz.
Howdy.
Nick Spry.
Hello.
And Sarah is our guest. You might remember Sarah from episode 2, Cat Bones.
Yes, hi.
So Sarah is on a trip cross-country. She asked me to pick her up in Topeka, Kansas.
Yes.
So I drive like 900 miles to Topeka, Kansas, pick her up.
So nice.
Drive her 900 miles back.
Yes.
But if you guys look over here to the driveway, you see that bad boy?
Whoa.
Yep, that's a three-wheeled Gemini Hufferer. That thing never ran out of gas.
Wow.
Like the
entire
gas
time.
tank was always at full. It was at F.
Is it a gas gauge or like a hydrogen gauge or a solar gauge?
That's the thing. I thought I kept running out of gas.
You would wish that you were there for that.
Driving 900 miles and not seeing the gas tank.
Hours. I was like, Sarah, back me up. I was like, is this thing running out of gas?
Figure like a broken gas gauge or something. But
So I drive 900 miles to Topeka, Kansas.
Really?
I pick up Sarah.
Yeah.
I bring Sarah back 900 miles. The entire time, can you guys look in the driveway right now? That is a three-wheeled Gemini Hufferer.
Oh, wow. It's really nice. It's really nice.
Look
it's like
at that.
Kind of a... wait, you just showed... Didn't you... When you see this?
What's like the gas mileage on that?
Yeah,
This thing never ran out of gas, Nick Spry.
Really?
Not even one time?
Wow.
Okay.
Where'd you guys go?
Topeka, Kansas.
Yes, thank you. Have you been before, Mandaddy?
Wait a minute.
No, we've been before.
Are you about to say that you went 900 miles from Topeka?
So then 900 miles back, I'm bringing Sarah back. This car...
Guys,
Is that a Gemini Hufferer?
It is. Have you heard of it?
You didn't have any gas problems, did you?
This thing never ran out of gas.
Guys,
How'd you know?
All right, well, I'm putting up a flag, a Nick Spry flag right now. Trademark Nick Spry. This is freaking me out. We might have punched a hole through the universe or something like that. Have you ever heard of Deja Vu?
We heard of what?
Have you ever heard of Deja Vu?
Deja Vu?
Sounds vaguely familiar. Like maybe I've heard it before or seen it before.
Yeah,
I don't speak French.
All right, well,
start
Deja Vu.
talking about it.
Deja Vu is pretty common, actually. Deja Vu occurs, or people have experienced it. Most of the world has experienced deja vu. Over 2/3 of the world population, about 70% of all people have, in some form, experienced deja vu. It's, when you feel like something's happened before, you're in a circumstance, and it seems vaguely familiar, but you can't quite put your finger on it why it is. There's no specific reason. Deja vu literally translates in French to already seen, or it's also known as paramnesia. That's from the Greek roots para, meaning near, and mneme,
M-E-M-E.
Yes, which is the Greek root for memory.
Memory.
So this term is defined very specifically by Vernon Neppe, who is the head of the Pacific Neuropsychiatric Institute. He is one of the foremost experts in the entire world on this subject, him and Arthur Funkhauser. He's the author of several books on the subject.
I love that last name, Funkhauser.
Funkhauser? It's pretty funky.
It's a good name.
But he defines deja vu as, quote, any subjectively inappropriate impression of familiarity of a present experience with an undefined past, end quote.
That's perfect. That actually
it's
ties it up in
really,
a nice
really
bow.
specific. When you think about scientifically what he's employing each word for, it's extremely specific.
Yeah, that's amazing. Deja vu.
But the term deja vu, it was originally employed by Émile Boirac, a French psychic researcher, in his 1907 book, L'Avenir des Sciences Psychiques, or in English, The Future of Psychic Sciences.
Nice.
Yeah, that was the first recorded, printed usage of this term.
Okay.
So there are many, many subcategories of this phenomena. In fact, there's upwards of 39 plus types of deja vu. And
like Eskimos describing snow?
Yep.
What's going on
That's
here?
exactly what that is.
Do they all, let me guess, they all refer to specific instances?
They do. They have their own specificity for experience.
Snow in the weirdest way.
How you say?
How you say?
So these 39 types are specified in experiential terms such as déjà entendu, or already heard, or déjà trouvé, already met, or déjà pensé, already thought. Again, this goes on and on and on and on. But there are, like I was saying, most of the world knows this experience. It starts happening in people who are around 8 or 9 years old. Typically, you don't see déjà vu in people younger than the age of 8, and it tends to occur most frequently in people in the ages between 15 and 25.
Nice.
So how does an 8-year-old process the concept of déjà vu?
Most people don't know how to process the concept of déjà vu. It's still, there is no known scientific evidence for what exactly is happening when you're experiencing this.
I already did this.
Yeah, exactly. But
at which point you're like looking at your kid like, oh no, it's starting. Like, is he crazy?
He's got the dead zone.
Right, exactly.
He's got that
dead zone.
Oh, damn, my kid's Christopher Walken.
Oh no.
Oh my God, that'd be sweet.
Daddy, give me
Oh my God, he's so cute.
I think I've been here before. So this leads many people to believe that it's linked to the final processes in brain development, specifically with memory. People that experience déjà vu, actually, they tend to have very good memory function. So there are many different subcategories, like I said, but then when you're trying to classify, according to Arthur Funkhauser, again, one of the leading researchers in the field.
Again, love that last name.
Funkhauser. He defines them in 3 major types. And before him and Vernon Nepi were doing their research work and they're publishing their papers in the 1980s, late 70s, there was very, very little material actually done, or very, very little research work done into this field. So he defines these as, number 1, déjà vécu, which means already lived, which is very, very specific. So this is the total sensory reference that you're having in an experience.
Seems like it would be the catch-all, right? Like, I've already experienced this in totality, like this moment.
This has to do also with the hologram theory, that memories are recorded as holograms, where you only need a specific, a single detail to recall an entire experience.
Right.
Could you use a déjà vu principle to explain away reincarnation or past lives?
There is a theory. It does not entirely explain why past lives would exist, but there are theories that déjà vu might be broken bits of past lives, memories, surfacing in the conscious mind.
Wow.
So you might have an experience that feels familiar because it is familiar from one of your previous lives.
Interesting.
People feel like that they can predict what someone may say next, what they might do next, or what will happen in the next moment. To be clear, this is not precognition. It's because it occurs in the present moment. It is not as if you were having déjà vu 2 weeks before the experience. You're having it. This is occurring as you're experiencing it.
Wouldn't it be great just one time to have, oh my God, I'm feeling déjà vu. Duck! You know, and it works. You know,
this is what I'm talking about with déjà vécu. Yeah. There have been accounts of things like this where that has occurred. There's also déjà senti, which means already felt, which is much more, again, esoteric. It's just the feelings. This feeling is familiar somehow. I feel like I've been at that, bar and won the high score on their quarter slot video game or blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Just that feeling of triumph.
If you break my high score, so help me God, next God.
I feel like you've said this before.
He put ass as his initials at the top. He put ass.
That's true, I did, yeah.
But
the rules. Totally rules.
And then the third type would be déjà visité, or already visited. And this is perhaps one of the most unsettling phenomena of its kind. This deals with the idea that one has an intimate knowledge of the geography of a space that one has never previously inhabited. So there was a interview I saw where the host of the show actually had this experience, and he went to a Greek ruin, and he had the feeling that he had been there before, and he knew in his mind that if he went around the back of this structure, there would be a small staircase leading up into the woods. And he went around the back, and sure enough, there was a small staircase leading up into the woods. But he had never been to this site in his entire life. Really strange.
That is strange, yeah. Was he like, oh man, this tree had the best mulberries. Oh man, I would make mulberry jam.
Could be.
What do mulberries taste like?
They're poisonous. Do not.
Oh, okay.
Listeners at home, do not.
Ooh, try them. Just for a second.
Don't listen to Sarah.
You're trying to drum up business?
Just kind of swish them around in your mouth.
Yeah.
So there's also many different experiences that are closely related to déjà vu, but they are not quite the same experience. There is one known as jamais vu, which means never seen. So despite the subject's concrete knowledge that something is familiar, the situation or experience is interpreted as being brand new. So
It's
you're
called
doing
acid.
something that you would do all the time. There was an interview with Vernon Neppe where he said that a subject had told him that he got up and he was shaving in the morning, and somehow it felt like he had never done it before.
Bujade. That's the feeling that you've
Yeah,
never
jamais
experienced
vu.
before.
And he knows that he shaves every day, and yet this time was different. It felt like he had never. Something was very, very new about it. There's also presque-vu, which is almost seen, and that's sort of the tip of the tongue when you can't think of a word. And this actually occurs in groups very, very often. It's the feeling of being on the very, very brink of recall, and you just can't.
Oh, that's the
get it.
worst.
You can't remember
Or you'll
that
see it
actor's name.
flash
You
in your
can't
head.
remember. Yes.
Like, it was right there.
Quincy Jones.
You're like, oh man, what was the thing? Flash.
This is closely related to the l'esprit d'escalier, which is known as the staircase wit, which is one of those things where you come up with the perfect comeback or the
After
perfect thing to say after as you're along your way out, but you couldn't think of it at the time, even though you definitely had that capability, because obviously you came up with it later.
AKA the internet.
And then there is a scary, scary subsect that actually is tied closely to paranoid schizophrenics, and this is known as the Fragoli delusion. This is a rare disorder in which the subject feels that many or all of the people that they encounter in their everyday life are really one person in disguise by masks.
Wow.
Not crazy at all.
Not crazy at all. No, because why not?
Not crazy at all. That's a normal thing, I thought.
I haven't
No, I
actually.
You're Arya Stark.
I haven't thought that, but like you haven't been like
Topical.
it's whatever the like scientific term for like the Truman Show effect would be. That like there's kind of a weird, like I don't know, maybe
Yeah, that's a little more common than this. That's
Well,
like gang
that you are part of a show, that you are
Well, right,
a
that's like-
subject.
That's like gang stalking.
gang stalking.
Yeah, that's a real thing. We got to talk about that some
Yeah,
other
that's
time.
a totally
that's
different
terrible.
topic there, man. That is some
Creepy,
creepy
terrible.
shit right there.
But when you're talking about the scientific causes of this, no one has concrete evidence of what it really is. There's many, many theories, though, especially with innovations in cognitive science and brain imaging. So many people think that there might be what is called a error in dual processing, and that's basically a delay in sensory input. Say that you're looking through something in your visual cortex with your eyes. Your visual cortex is located in the occipital lobe in the back of your head in the brain. But say at the same time, you're hearing something and that's being processed in a different part of the brain, and say that those signals arrive milliseconds apart.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
you are
Yeah.
literally getting the same information, just slightly delayed, and therefore it
One
seems
of
familiar.
them feels like a memory.
Because it is familiar, because you processed it hundreds, millionths of a second earlier.
Right.
Another theory is that there is a miscommunication between the rhinal cortex, which is in charge of familiarity in the brain, and the hippocampus, which is for memory recall.
Your rhino gene. Yeah.
Rhinos
Yeah, it
and
has a big
hippos.
horn. Inside the brain is this giant little rhino there.
And the little baby
Giant
hippo.
little rhino?
Giant little rhino.
A giant little rhino.
The giantest little rhino in all of Topeka. So perhaps one of the most obscure theories, and yet has been prevalent among physicists, is the multiverse parallel universe theory for
Nice.
deja vu.
Love it.
I watched an interview with a physicist earlier who explained it. Think that all of the possible realities are existing simultaneously on top of each other, in the same way that if you have a radio, you are tuned into one specific frequency, and yet in your space, all of those frequencies exist.
Right.
Your multiple you that exists in many different other universes, if they are simultaneously participating in the exact same event, there is a crossover of these multiverse, and you experience deja vu, some sort of connecting, plugging, basically you're punching a hole through all of reality and connecting with all of the other multiple yous. It might be 3, it might be 1,000. Who knows? There is no proof. But guys, this could be really bad. I'm just saying that, I mean, you're really spooking me out, even though it's about something very innocuous,
Right,
like
right,
road
right,
trip to Topeka. But deja vu can be a really dangerous thing,
Take
guys.
it easy, Nick.
Take it easy, man. Calm
Just get all
down.
worked up.
Give this guy some gravy water. Give this guy some gravy water, please.
The worst thing
It's
that
okay,
can happen is that it
Sit
already
down.
happened. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, so it's happening right now.
It's already happening.
I actually did some reading on this years ago, and I remember reading that one of the, I think it was the potential like dual processing, I guess, error that your brain could have. They said that they could attribute that there was a gap between two lobes that has, during human evolution, fused together, but they found evidence in older, more ancient brains that this was actually separated, and that understanding of it being potentially deja vu or just something in your mind comes from that evolution. Basically, these lobes connecting, people thought it was God talking to them. There was another thing happening in their mind.
Very common in epileptics. That's called ecstatic epilepsy.
Wow.
Dostoevsky was actually an ecstatic epileptic.
That's crazy.
This goes back to an earlier story. We talked about
I'm really into it.
the corpus callosum. Is that fibrous bit that connects the two hemispheres of the brain. And what you're talking about with deja vu, it's noted there are, again, a different way to categorize. What I was talking about was more of a paranormal, subjective experience. There is also a psychopathic experience, and then there is a neurological experience, and that occurs in people who have medial temporal lobe epilepsy, where basically all of your neurons are firing simultaneously, and it's causing a reoccurring experience of deja vu. They actually did a study at Leeds University several years ago, and they asked people, because there's a condition where people have chronic deja vu in their everyday life. They cannot get out of this time loop. And they actually had a man who
That's frightening.
declined the study because he said he had already participated in it.
That's awesome.
Well, let's take a little break, okay? And then let me tell you about my Gemini Hufferer.
Wait a minute, no, stop it!
Wait.
Enough with the Gemini Huffer.
900 miles?
Stop.
Well, I went to Topeka, Kansas, okay?
Topeka,
Oh, and let me
Kansas.
tell you about
I
this
hate
trip.
Topeka.
Let me take a little break and I'm going to tell you all about it. You're listening to Fort Fritz. Welcome back to Fort Fritz. One of the aspects that I really like about Fort Fritz is our telephone number, and you can reach us at any time at 570-478-3789 or 570-4RT-FRTZ. And we have a couple voice messages. Let's go ahead and start this first one off.
Hi, yes, this is Mick, and I'm calling because I'm trying to get a hold of Chester Charleston. Please give me a call back. Thank you.
All right, when it comes to Chester Charleston, you don't call him. He just shows up.
No, yes.
You know, he senses the need, and he'll just appear.
He always says that, hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, guys?
What's up, guys?
You hear the footsteps, you think it's a small child, and then, hey, what's up, guys? And then the thunder strikes, and then he's going to solve something for you.
I know that he has his kiosk in downtown Apopka.
This is
Correct.
true.
Yeah,
Look for the
it's true.
smoke signals.
Right.
Right, correct. I feel like if you're not seeing Chester Charleston, you're okay though. Like he shows up in times of dire need, right? Like you don't necessarily want to have to need his help.
He's like the Mothman.
Correct.
That is true.
In many ways.
Like maybe Mothman meets Bruce Willis, like somehow like Die Hards it out, and like he's gonna definitely save your ass. You
Right.
just don't know when and how.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Mixed with like insane survivalists like Randy Quaid. Again, Randy Quaid tonight. I'm
Randy Quaid.
I'm
You
obsessed
are,
with Randy
God,
Quaid.
you love Randy Quaid. All right, we have one more voicemail.
Good man. Good man.
No, God, no.
Not
Terrible
really.
man.
No,
Horrible,
no,
terrible
man.
person.
Terrible guy.
I've got a story for you. About 5 years ago, I used to work as a line cook and when I would work nights, I would show up a little bit early just so I could go up into the second story area where they have a bunch of couches that I'm pretty sure no one should ever take a nap on, and I would just doze off for a little bit. One time, completely secluded, no one was around, I hear someone take a few brief steps, only about 10 feet away from me, give a sniff, and then a quick sigh, and then keep walking. I look up, and there's no one around. And I look over the rafters, I look over the loge seating, and there is no one around at all. Except that the bar back storage area behind the bar, the door is open. Which doesn't make any sense either because no one was around. About a week later, the line cooks, we start talking about haunted experiences, and I share what had happened to me. One of the guys who had been there for about 8 years told me there was actually a murder. I actually did look it up after listening to your show, and so it inspired me. Yes, there was indeed a murder.
Thoughts?
I am not surprised by that, but that's
Not shocked.
It's got all the hallmarks of your classic ghost encounter at a restaurant or entertainment venue, right? Like
Well, when you think,
local employee
Yep.
napping on the job,
Unexpected death.
unexpected death, very like sort of I don't want to say wishy-washy encounter, but sort of,
Wishy-washy.
light encounter. Like he heard noises. It wasn't like someone came over and like
Light
stabbed
encounter?
him.
Somebody died.
No, his encounter with the ghost. His encounter with the ghost.
The one who died.
okay.
Yeah, that's how they're
He
made.
wasn't like pushed off the rafters
Right.
by a ghost. He heard him like sniffle and walk out of the
It's like
the
somebody
bar back area.
twirled my mustache.
You'd think that most restaurants and bars, if they're haunted, they're going to be haunted by the employees that had the. I mean, if you died while working
It'd be the
at a
worst.
restaurant,
Be the
you're going to
worst.
haunt that place. Because I'm sorry, that's the last place you want to spend is at if you're working at a restaurant.
Well, you
if you're
figure-
having a fine meal there, it's different.
You figure they like work there, they wouldn't want to spend their eternity there just haunting
We're
people.
just screwing with other people's side
Yeah,
work.
what if you were a bad person and that was your like purgatory? That you
had to stay there.
Oh my gosh!
stuck
Oh,
on that
I
line.
wanna,
You were in
I
the
wanna
weeds.
come here.
Endless ticket line of shrimp paparoos.
I love it. So this has been the Fort Fritz hotline. Again, that's 570-4RT-4789. Brought to you by...
There are so many bad things that are happening right now behind your back, even in front of your nose. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Chester Charleston, and I run the United States of America Ultra Survivalist Kiosk in downtown Apopka. Wake up, sheeple! Did you hear North Korea has a nuke? A simple Google search can tell you that. How long until you think they're going to set off an EMP? If you think you could survive without a 50-year supply of canned goods, I got news for you. You're already dead. But not if I can help it. At my kiosk, you can get any number of high-grade explosives to fend off the neighbors who somehow survived the radiation. MREs are just 4 for $2.50. Build-A-Basement kits are flying off the shelves. And we have hundreds of years' worth of dehydrated foods and seed kits to keep you supplied well into the nuclear winter. The future can be taken from you. Take it back. Wake up, sheeple!
Chester Charleston can be contacted on Citizens Band Radio, Semaphore, Morse Code, Carrier Pigeon, Tor Browser, no geocaching, and otherwise. State license Delta Tango 9 X-Ray Golf. No federal employee has the right to contact this person. Mr. Charleston does not consent to constitutional breaches of power. Mr. Charleston knows his rights.
So, anyway, as I was saying, I recently went on a road trip, okay?
Yeah, Topeka. We heard 900 miles.
Yeah, we got it.
But that's not the craziest thing about it, okay?
Okay.
The craziest thing is, I left my damn wallet in Topeka.
What?
You left your wallet in El Topeka.
Nice.
Crazy.
Very nice. Wait. Where did you leave your wallet?
I can't
Topeka.
remember.
Oh.
In Topeka.
Did you cancel all your credit cards and everything?
I can't remember that either. I'm having a Deja visite.
Oh, what?
Ooh, nice
all right.
reference.
Yeah,
Call
yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah,
Call
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have actually been here before.
Yeah.
I've heard of this
you're
before.
pretty much
Deja
every week.
entendre.
Entendu.
Entendue sausage.
It's a food pun. I like it because it's a food pun.
Yeah.
It's meats and cheeses.
So that last voicemail, I don't want to like alarm anyone, but did you guys notice how kind of ethereal or otherworldly his voice sounded? He kind of like echoed and like got weird. Yeah, it was very like
Really?
kind of. Yeah, you didn't hear that?
Hey, maybe I just wasn't.
You're just used to hearing spooky, otherworldly noises now. and,
I
like,
hear
it doesn't even
things.
register.
That's
He's
the world
just-
in which he lives.
He's just used to Fort Fritz and the terrible audio design in this room.
It's horrendous.
But yeah,
Ooh,
I
you hear that?
think I was giving a. Ooh, what was that?
The hell was that?
It sounded like the beeping of a voicemail machine thing. What do they call those things?
No, I
Voicemail
don't know
machines. They're
voicemail.
called
It's called a
voicemail
voicemail
No.
machine.
Yeah, you go to
Answering
Walmart.
machine.
Right. Yeah.
That's what it's called.
That's
An
what they
answering
called it back
machine.
in 1994,
You
yes.
remember we had the answering machine that we thought was a bomb in the back room by
true.
the bathtub before?
Oh, yeah.
I remember
No,
a certain
no.
somebody named
Yes.
rhymes with Man Daddy.
Thank you.
Didn't want to, join us to try and defuse that.
I remember
quote-unquote
that actually,
bomb.
yeah.
And he's still here.
So are we.
So there you go.
As we braved
You're
the...
welcome. You're welcome. Evidently, it worked.
All right. I mean, I did hear that kind of beeping. Like, maybe let's go check out the answering machine. Maybe somebody left us another voicemail or something.
Right?
Who knows? I mean, there's this
Yeah, well,
could
they
be
have- yeah.
to
Who's-
the,
who's
another
feet
dimension.
part of
You
it?
called this number, obviously.
Give us feet. Nick, get out there.
All right. I'll press the button. All right, I'm pressing the button.
Just
Nick's Brian is now pressing the button with his foot,
and
and
it's just going to be static.
Using my big toe. It's it sounds like I don't know. Is it raining really hard or no? I don't know. What does snow sound like?
I'm hearing static. I'm hearing like static with a little chirping in there or something.
is that my last week's pizza order?
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Did you get pineapple?
You know when you turn off all the sound in your house and you try to hear silence and then you can only hear this? Is this it?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't think we have the like appropriate technology to like enhance the audio or whatever. But
Zoom in, enhance.
I recently heard of some pretty spooky static voicemails received from a dead man.
What?
What?
Did you guys ever hear about the Charles Peck calls?
No, I haven't.
No.
All right. So this actually happened pretty recently, 2008, which actually wasn't that recent, but it sounds recent. It's in 2000.
Within, 10 years.
Kind of recent.
Pretty recent in
Recent-ish.
the expanse
When we talk
of
about
history.
stuff from the 18th century,
Right, that's true. So 2 trains collided in Los Angeles.
Wait, I've heard this joke.
It was hilarious.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry.
Ooh. A man died.
I did this math problem.
It was in the Chatsworth district of Los Angeles, and about 25 people died.
Oh, man.
Jesus.
One of them was Charles E. Peck. He was traveling from Salt Lake City for a job interview in LA. He was hoping to propose to his fiancée based on the raise he was going to get from this new job.
That's even sadder.
Right? Super sad. And we just totally made a joke out of it. It was terrible.
Hey, I didn't know that, man, all right?
All right. Had I known that 2 trains colliding caused the death of 25 people, I would have stayed my tongue.
It's normally such a hilarious event.
I thought it was a joke, all right?
The 2 trains are colliding, and
then a rabbi...
A rabbi walks out of a bar.
Just complete non sequitur. 2 trains collide in Los Angeles.
And 6...
On the other side of the country, a rabbi walks out of a bar.
It's like a nihilist Dada sort of thing.
It's the butterfly effect. You don't get it, man.
Exactly.
That joke's deep.
Rabbi Roberts immediately swears off alcohol.
All right, so Charles E. Peck died. And he was going to have this amazing new job, and he was going to propose to his fiancée, Andrea Katz. And he died. He died in that train crash. So, I mean, that's sad. It's tragic, but it's not supernatural yet. The scary thing that happened, I guess the unnerving thing, is that during the 11 hours following the train crash, there were a total of over 35 calls made to Charles Peck's friends, family, various acquaintances.
Hours after it?
Total of 11 hours during the next 11 hours. So
Jeez.
For a period of time after he was dead in the crash, he was sending out, or his phone was sending out calls. The immediate family knew about the crash, and there were still attempts to recover survivors, so they assumed that he was trying to reach them through the wreckage and call for help. When they finally found his body, they realized he was in the front passenger car, where the majority of the casualties happened, and more than likely, died on impact. There would have been very little chance that he could have survived any kind of crash. Also, similarly sort of unnerving is the fact that they never recovered the phone. His phone is still missing. It wasn't on his person, and it wasn't in the wreckage. So,
whoa. So what, were there any messages left, like voicemails or?
So yeah, there were voicemails, and several people answered the phone for the call. And
my God, are you
what they
kidding me?
described on the other end was just a thin static.
Oh, but it wasn't his actual. It wasn't Carl Perkins. What was his name? Carl Perkins? No,
Charles.
that was
Flynn
a,
Pickens?
No.
that was a famous singer-songwriter.
Gregory Peck.
Charles E. Peck.
Charles Peck. So it wasn't his voice. It was just static.
It was static.
Okay, let's say he was killed outright. Could this have been another survivor? Were there other survivors on this train, or
There were survivors of the crash, but none in his car. That was the car that took the most impact, and everyone died.
Did anybody travel from subsequent cars? Did anyone go up to the front to try to get anyone's cell phone to make a call, or?
It doesn't
I'm
sound.
grasping at straws.
Yeah, like you're saying, is it possible that his phone somehow was like ejected from the crash
Right,
and someone
someone's
recovered
pranking
it
him.
and started
Catfishing from the grave.
Or maybe trying to contact
I didn't
them.
go all the way there. Yeah, but just someone trying to make a 911 call.
It does imply that following the crash, that anyone who had to be rescued had to be like professionally removed from the wreckage. It wasn't that there were people walking around and sort of like helping out. It was.
I don't want to be professionally removed from wreckage. I just want to swap out. I don't want to have to be in some weird waffle position or
It's
something.
not like you have to pay them. Somebody else is paying for it.
Yeah, but still, it seems like if you just get hit, that's one thing. But if you have to be professionally removed, that there's a lot more involved in your death.
You make it seem like obligatory valet service.
Kind of is.
That sucks. I hate obligatory valet.
Like,
where you just don't have a choice with your body is removed from a wreckage. That kind of sucks.
I could do this myself, guys.
I'm not mad that I'm dead. I'm mad that I got to tip this guy now.
So I thought that was pretty spooky, and I started doing a little bit of research into this, I guess, what you would call a phenomenon, people contacting people after they allegedly died. And there was another case in, I believe this was in Michigan, but the guy's name was Jack Rose.
Not Jack Frost.
Jack Rose.
Frankenstein.
F-R-O-E-S-E.
Oh.
So if it's German, it would be Furst. Furst. Almost like Furst.
So anyway, Jack tragically died of heart arrhythmia at the age of 32 in 2011, which is terrible. Again, young death. Didn't have to go. But he apparently, about 6 to 7 months after his death, sent a series of emails to his friends and family.
Now it's emails.
Detailing several personal conversations and different sort of life events that happened before his death and after. He actually, one of these emails referenced one of his friend's broken ankle, which had happened several weeks after his death. And
are you kidding me?
These emails came from his email address. They were signed and sort of worded in according to his friends and family in a similar way that he would word things. And, obviously the skeptics have chalked it up to a really clever hacker. Someone got a hold of this information and is messing with these people.
I mean, did the content refer at all to him acknowledging the fact that he was dead?
It doesn't necessarily
like,
say
hey guys,
how did he die?
Beyond the grave.
Heart arrhythmia.
Did he know he was going to die? Was he sick?
Did he
and die, or was it a sudden death?
You're asking if he triggered like a bunch of emails to send off,
or just he told his friend, "Dude, if I die, you totally
send
gotta
off all
mess
these
with my friends."
Hilarious emails.
Yeah, let's just pranking from the grave, from the grave.
But yeah, there were references to several conversations that he had with his friend about little innocuous stuff. Like he told one of his friends that that he needed to clean up his attic, and then in the email there was a reference to this conversation that they had about him cleaning up his attic.
Really judgy phenomena. Yeah, like.
I mean, you don't really have shit to say.
Killing themselves.
Yeah.
I'm dead, but you really haven't cut the lawn in like 2 weeks. Exactly. What's going on?
I can totally see it from up here, from down here.
It's embarrassing. We're all talking about it.
Your fall palette really isn't working.
We've gone from static messages on an answer machine or a voicemail to spooky email.
Well, and we also had the Watcher letters, I remember. So it's like the spookiness is keeping up with the times. You know what I mean?
Here's what I want to bring up.
And emails.
Is it going to get to the
spooky
point?
Tweets?
No. Emojis from the grave.
Yes.
Emojis from the grave. Just like you wake up and just like, what?
I think it's even gone beyond that.
Smiley face, flame, donkey mailbox.
Sweat spray.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
From the grave?
Yeah, from the grave.
And you think but actually they might get way more effective at it because, I mean, that's a way more simplistic way to communicate is through emojis.
I will.
And so they've tried to do EVPs, they've tried to do all these different things, and so emojis would actually be the most effective way for the dead to contact the living.
Hey guys, this is Fritz. Hey Fritz, remind the guys that I have a three-wheel Gemini Hufferer from Topeka, Kansas to Topeka, Kansas. You name it, I had to go all over the place.
God, man, what are you really like? Let's beat a dead horse.
Yeah, we're trying to go meta, but we're just going meh.
Guys, I do not remember making that phone call.
So are we talking about, are you telling us from the past the thing we already knew, that you did this trip to Topeka, but you don't remember actually doing this? Do you think that eventually you're going to have to not remember what happened and then remind us of what we already know?
How did you know? Wait, I'm caught in a time loop. How did you know that you made a 900-mile trip? You called, you don't remember?
If he didn't remember, but he did, and so is he going to, or is he going to not remember that he did and then not do it because he didn't?
Nauseous.
If a car leaves Topeka,
right? This is a funny joke. I heard this one.
Right, and then it collides with another car.
Collides with a train in L.A.
How much gas did Fritz use in the
900. No, wait, no, that's miles.
Gas?
That's miles. 900 gas. I'll take 900 gas, kind sir.
Absolutely.
You're wrong.
Guys, I feel like I've been here before, but I don't remember making that call. So what does that mean? Am I just delusional now?
I think it's a time jump.
I think we need to take a break. I think that's what it is.
No, I think it's a time jump. I think this is a problem. Have you gone into possibly another world?
I think I have been.
I mean, something outside of our world. Have you experienced? I mean, have you become like a
Sure.
Like a spirit in the material world?
All of that.
Spirits in the material world?
All of that.
Spirits in the material world.
All of that.
Guys, I'm just going to break out the chalkboard. I'm going to just do a little simple math here. I think we got, maybe just some theoretical physics here. Let me just do some numbers here.
Right.
Let's do some markings. Let's sit down. Let's have a little think tank.
All right.
All right, we got to get this timeline going out. It's almost like the movie Primer, to make a nerd reference.
Nice reference.
Thank you.
I've never seen that show.
So we're going to take a little break, as you should. Go grab yourself a beverage, make yourself a sandwich, have some creepy pasta. I don't care. You're listening to Fort Fritz. All right, welcome back. You're listening to Fort Fritz. It's been a kind of an interesting night here. We talked about mysterious messages from the grave, and we've talked about mysterious messages from the grave, and there's something else we talked about.
Deja vu!
No, it was mysterious messages from the grave.
And Deja Vu.
Oh, and Deja Vu.
Yeah. I'm more focused on this math problem here. I'm trying to figure it out still. This chalkboard.
Yeah, Kaz has this math problem going over here. What's going on?
So here, we've got F. This is going to represent Fritz. Little car, smiley face, Fritz, little baseball hat. This is Fritz. This is Topeka, Kansas, allegedly. 900 miles.
Right.
We're going to call that also, quotes, allegedly, to the fort.
Got it.
And then we've got J. This is the Jiminy Huffer. This is the three-wheel Jiminy Huffer. So I'm trying to do the math here.
I just gotta say, your Topeka, Kansas is totally reductive. He makes it seem so 2D. I mean, Topeka, Kansas is a wonderland.
It's a vibrant
thrills.
city.
Really?
Thank you.
Majestic, would you say?
Absolutely.
Wow.
The nightlife, the culture.
Wait, speaking of which,
I love the nightlife.
What?
Come on, really?
Where'd Sarah go?
This is a bad idea.
Oh my God.
This is a bad
Sarah.
idea.
She's stealing the three-wheeler. Guys, she's stealing the three-wheeler.
Sarah, I still got your couch, man. I still got your couch and your armoire.
In the back of a three-wheeler?
Sure, yeah. I was moving
There was no
Sarah
room.
down.
No, this thing looks like it was like the Amazing Race cartoon or something like that.
Yeah, how
Like,
many
this is
people
terrible.
could you see? Something with
Wacky Race?
Muttley, obviously. But how many people can you fit in the back of this?
Well, it's kind of like, it kind of supersedes time and space. So it was one of those
So it's a
things
Tesseract? Once again, it's a three-wheeled Tesseract?
where, not unlike a three-wheeled Tesseract.
Or like a clown car.
Yeah, it's kinda like a clown-
no. There's a big difference between a Tesseract and a clown car, okay?
You got a problem with clown cars? I thought they were rather amusing.
I have coulrophobia. I don't like clowns, all right?
Oh, that's what that's
Who
called.
does? Other than people that eat hamburgers.
French people.
Yeah, they do.
French people
They really
really
do.
They enjoy the
weird.
clown.
Yeah.
But seriously, a Tesseract, an amazing concept, almost a thought project when it comes to physics and time and space.
Yeah.
Clowns just scary AF, period. Okay, let's just face that, right?
To a lot of
You are
hipsters.
A grown man who
To a lot
just
of
said
hipsters.
AF.
Because I'm not supposed to say anymore, you piece of shit.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Clown car, a place with a bunch of clowns in a small area.
Of course, it's
That's
funny.
absolutely horrible.
I imagine
well,
them
that-
in there like in a SWAT team like van or like in like a plane before they're about to parachute out, like all together, like,
like honk, honk, honk,
staring
honk,
each
honk,
other
honk,
down, like ready for the mission. Like, okay, we're gonna be funny as right now. You ready? Let's do this. And go.
Seltzer bottles, akimbo.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Just like packing like balloons and stuff, like
Banana
lock and
cream
loaded.
pies.
Dude, warm it up on like a little fiddle. I like it.
Yeah, but this is not what I'm talking about.
Oh no.
Why?
Because eventually, clowns die.
Yep.
Well, everybody
What?
dies.
Everyone dies. I would be more freaked out if they never died.
Yeah, an immortal clown would be scary.
That's how you're an immortal
scary.
clown. That's the most
The
terrifying thing
Highlander
ever.
clown is the ultimate clown.
If Sean Connery was a clown, though, I'd be in.
Fact of the matter is you imagine the concept of a ghost clown?
Oh my god.
Oh, God.
creepy.
Does
You
he
couldn't
attempt,
fight it.
right?
You couldn't fight it.
Or
If you
effectively
just-
run away from it. It just seems like it would be.
You'd just be terrified. I mean, because clowns already are just like, this is not right, and now it's a clown from the grave.
All right.
Not right at all.
Explain.
In December of 2002 in Liverpool, England, two boys, aged 10 and 13, were sleeping in their bedroom as their parents slept down the hall. At around 3 a.m., they were awoken by a sound. The sound of laughter.
All right.
The boys said it sounded like it was echoing. as if the laughter was coming from a cave.
Ooh, that's spooky.
Growing louder and louder.
Yeah, that is.
All right.
That's pretty creepy.
Fair enough.
The older boy rubbed his eyes and looked for the source of the sound. There he saw, standing in front of their door, blocking their way out, a transparent figure. It wore a cone-shaped hat, a white ruffled collar, and a red-colored one-piece suit. Its face was plastered with grotesque clown makeup, with a long, crooked, red nose, and black empty circles where his eyes should be.
Ew.
Oh, man.
That's his gnarly clown.
The young boy...
Yeah, but it seems
Gnarly
like...
Clown, great band, by the way.
Gnarly Clown.
Open for them in Tallahassee.
Really?
Yeah, it was a weird
Lots of
weekend.
kazoos. Lots
Yeah,
of
like
kazoos.
12. Like 12, I think.
Very, like, maybe too much kazoo.
Bicycle horn solos.
Right. There's
But that
definitely
was really tasteful. Now, the young boy began to scream as the clown's laughter grew louder and louder.
Yeah.
The clown held one hand on his stomach and pointed his other hand at the boys as he rocked back and forth, howling with laughter.
So he's like, I'm going to eat your ass!
Or possibly the entire kid. You know, he might not have stopped there.
It always seems like stereotypically, too, like in Liverpool, like the Lilliputian scream would be something like, Mom, Dad, I'm really scared.
Mom,
Help us, help us,
help us.
Sometimes
I'm so scared. He's really laughing hard.
The boys screamed for their parents, who, though they were just down the hall, heard nothing. The boys reported that there was a sickly, sweet smell in the air, and a green glow filled the room. The boys continued to yell for their parents as the clown's echoing laughter came to a crescendo, and then quickly stopped. The clown's face became deadly serious as he turned over his outstretched hand and curled his finger, beckoning the boys to approach. Finally, the boys grasped each other's hand and tried to run around the clown to get to the door.
Wait, what? They tried to, like, Red Rover him and knock him over?
No, he tried to go around him because the one held the younger one's hand.
Oh, right, you want to,
yeah, that's just more like a protective.
Just, come on, buddy system, dude.
I just thought you meant they were
Ghost
trying to, like, do a double, like a WWE, like lariat, double lariat on Ghost Clown, like,
double
we've
lariat,
got this
yes.
Nigel, of course we do, Tom.
That's sick.
Double lariat.
Finally, the boys grasped each other's hand and tried to run around the clown to get out the door. The clown reached out to grab the boys, but just missed as he screamed out an unintelligible word as they passed. The youngest boy says he felt a furry button on the clown's suit brush against his face as he passed.
Damn, that was close.
The boys ran into their parents' room, tears streaming down their faces. They told their parents what had happened, and they went to investigate. Of course, the room was completely empty.
I don't like this.
But the thick, sickly sweet smell was still hanging in the air.
What is sickly sweet? Like
just where it's just so like imagine drinking a ton of flat Mountain Dew. And just that, and just so much sugary.
Or
and just,
I would imagine, like,
I was gonna try to imagine a smell so sweet that it would be gross, and I
like
couldn't.
Maybe
but that
apple
does make
cider
sense.
vinegar or something like that.
Well, also, like, working on a car when it's, like, super hot and you smell the coolant, and the coolant is super sweet, but when it starts
It's tasty,
burning,
too.
It's like, you're like, it's that kind of, like, that hard
Too
work
much?
of, like,
Okay.
metal and
All right.
sweet. It's like, doesn't match.
Perfect.
Because I use that term a few more times coming up, so I'm glad we established
Perfect.
a baseline.
That acrid.
Perfect.
Acrid. Nice,
There you go.
acrid. I could put that, but I'm totally not going to. Now, a few weeks later, a family member passed away, and the family attended the wake. Upon approaching the body as it laid in state, the family experienced something familiar. The smell. The sickly, sweet smell. They then discovered the source of the smell. Embalming fluid.
Oh.
The embalming fluid had the same, they all recognized it immediately, that
Like
that's the smell that was in the
formaldehyde?
room.
Formaldehyde or something like that. That's weird.
Oh, my God.
Now, the family began to research the history of the house, and they found that in the early 1900s, in the house lived Fred Zozobe, also known as ZoZo the Clown.
How do you spell that?
Z-O-Z-Z-A-B-Y. Scary clown. Scary clown. Hell no!
It rhymed. I like it. It rhymed.
Now the Czech word Zozobe with an E, Z-O-Z-A-B-E, means nose. And even though Fred already had quite a prominent one, he would accentuate it with putty and red makeup. He worked at a theater known as the Floral Pavilion, but was never very successful.
Why is that?
They say his routine was old, hackneyed, and lacked any real spark of imagination. Because of this, he struggled with depression, which is actually quite common with clowns.
Did he dabble in the vaudeville routine? Was he more of a...
No, that's the problem, is that he was not, though, because this is, pre-vaudeville, but he was more of doing the Commedia dell'arte sort of thing, and sort of the classic mime thing when people were like, okay, we've all moved on. Okay, we've all moved on.
Smash a watermelon with a hammer or get...
No, that's light years. That's light years
that's
funnier.
so far involved.
Prop comics? No, yeah. I feel like mimes have been out since then.
Man, Daddy, is it just me, or am I hearing a lot of mime hate?
Because we're humans, and all humans hate mimes. I mean, mimes are, let's face it, they're not human. There's no... Have you ever heard a mime tell you that he's human?
I actually heard a really great mime joke. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Right?
I did not see that coming.
Exactly.
I did not see that coming.
All right, carry on.
Well done.
Now, because of his depression, which of course is,
Hilarious.
something that is... Because it's a clown. Because it's a clown. You don't know it, because they look like they're crying, and so their depression is absolutely hilarious.
Right, like he's doing the crying, but he's pulling out 1,000 handkerchiefs to wipe his tears, and he's drinking from a bottle that has a bunch of holes in it, never goes in.
Now, because of this, he became addicted to drugs and alcohol.
Oh, hell. Well.
His performances became more and more erratic, and sometimes even confrontational. It seemed that he was slowly plunging into madness. His final performance ended with him throwing a bucket of gasoline on the audience and attempting to set them on fire. But luckily, he was unsuccessful.
That's the punkest thing I've ever heard in my life. He doused the audience in gasoline. Like Gigi Allen, where you at?
He's out the ether that was a good idea, man.
Damn it, I wish I had that idea.
This guy is not messing around.
All I do is throw poop at the audience, but that's crazier.
Flaming poop at the audience!
How are we going to follow that, guys?
ZoZo was arrested and placed in the local asylum, where, of course, he eventually committed suicide.
And this was in Liverpool?
Yes.
Okay.
How did he commit suicide, if I may ask?
Hanging.
Yep.
Yes. Always.
Classic.
It's always hanging with clowns.
Classic.
Because you walk in, they're like a pinata. You're like, hey, look at this guy. He's just hanging there.
I doubt they put him in the jail cell with the clown stuff on.
Maybe.
Maybe this just
it's just he's so good at it. He doesn't need the makeup at this point. You believe it.
Just know he's a clown.
What? He's not wearing it, but I totally believe he's a clown right now. I totally see it. ZoZo is said to not only haunt the house previously mentioned, but also is known to make his presence known to other locales in the area.
Nice. So he's not actually confined
he's
to
not
just the
locked
house
in any place
or the jail cell where he killed himself. He can move around. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well done.
In 2010, a 4-year-old woman named Kelly moved into a house 3 doors down from the house in which ZoZo lived. On the 3rd night at the house, she went to bed, exhausted from scraping off wallpaper. She was just about to drift off to sleep when she felt her bed shake. She had no idea what could have caused this. She slowly turned over and saw that in the bed next to her, in the darkness, was a man laying next to her, facing away from her towards the door.
Oh, man.
She froze with fear as she began to make out the shape of a cone-shaped hat on his head
ZoZo, man.
and a ruffled white collar. The man was silently shaking, and she got the strong impression he was shaking with subdued laughter.
Oh, God. This is creepy, dude.
That's some Joker.
This is a good, this is a good story.
Really skin crawling.
Kelly rolled sideways and fell out of the bed.
Nice.
She sprung to her feet and bolted for the door. She ran down the stairs, threw the lock off the front door, and got on her front porch. She turned, looked up, and became frozen with horror as she saw the shadow of the clown gliding across the landing and disappearing into the night. For some reason, she stayed in the house.
Oh, no.
On the next night, she slept with a Bible next to her.
All right.
Okay.
She awoke around 4 a.m. because she smelled something.
God, the
Something
fish in the microwave she forgot
sweet.
to get out.
And overpowering.
That's fish in the microwave.
Kelly was the worst coworker to ever be.
Damn you, Captain Gordon. Your delicious clam fries.
Now she opened up the windows to keep from being overwhelmed by the scent. And then, nothing else. That was the last experience Kelly had in the house. But now, she has a Bible in every room, just in case.
What?
So the moral of this story is that some people find clowns amusing or funny. Most people find them creepy at best. But we can all agree, dead clowns are scary as hell.
Yes, they are. And also, Sarah is on a trip cross-country. She asked me to pick her up in Topeka, Kansas.
Yes.
So I drive like 900 miles to Topeka, Kansas, pick her up.
So nice. Thank
drive
you.
her 900 miles back.
Yes.
But if you guys look over here to the driveway, you see that bad boy?
Wow.
Yep, that's a three-wheeled Gemini Hufferer. That thing never ran out of gas. Like the gas tank was always at full. It was at F. So Sarah is on a trip cross-country. She asked me to pick her up in Topeka, Kansas.
Yes.
So I drive like 900 miles to Topeka, Kansas, pick her up.
So nice. Thank
drive
you.
her 900 miles back.
Yes.
But if you guys look over here to the driveway, you see that bad boy?
Wow.
Yep, that's a three-wheeled Gemini Hufferer. That thing never ran out of gas. Like the gas tank was always at full. It was at F. So Sarah is on a trip cross-country. She asked me to pick her up in Topeka, Kansas.
Yes.
So I drive like 900 miles to Topeka, Kansas.